Troy, I wanted to ask you about technology and the creative process,
Sure.
both in terms of media that you guys can play on, but
Mm.
also um, uh, new emerging technologies and sort of the expectations of
Yeah.
your clients who are here,
Yeah.
what they're looking for, and sort of um, looking for things quickly to change quickly,
Hmm.
far beyond their
Yeah.
30-second spot, which is still a robust medium. But tell us sort of, if you could, sort
Yeah.
of how new technology is changing the creative opportunities for agencies.
Sure. I would say to you that you're going to get a lot of people who would answer that question by saying it's changing so much. We're doing so many things. The truth is, there's a lot of talk and not as much output as what you think. Clients are still fairly conservative. And that's because there's such a performance demand right now in terms of the results that are happening and the procurement pressure that go with that. But the problem is the consumer's there. So you have to go there without maybe as much rigor as what you previously would have done to go into these fields and do that. So whether you're working in 4 seconds, whether you're working a lot more on the mobile platforms, the social platforms, working in content, doing immersive product placement, whatever else it is, you've got to do all of those things. Now out here, the biggest problem we have is that most of our people are aware in the industry of the technology and what's available, but they're afraid. I mean, there's fear in the unknown. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we educate our staff and our clients about what the possibilities are. Now, the truth is, I think a lot of these platforms are really poor at education. I think they're really good at showing you the content that it can exist on there. What they don't really do a great job is showing you how brands can live in those spaces. So that's a responsibility for us because we know that video is increasing like 59%. It's going nuts, right? So we know that people are going to these different places, doing different things, and a desire to spend more time there versus on a big screen. So we know that. But what we're not really doing right now is having a great dialogue with our clients about effectiveness in those mediums, really the platforms educating what could be really done there. And the more we can do that, the more we will get there faster because ultimately that's where the consumer is.
And there's also a challenge for you guys in terms of ramping up and staffing and having the
Yeah.
capabilities. How does that work in terms of your own capabilities
Yeah.
to ramp up that way?
I mean, talent is a battle. I mean, we've got many more competitors than what we used to have. You've heard this before. I mean, it's whether it's new media companies, whether it's inside client, whether it's any number of things, consultants, whatever else. So you've got many more competitors who are trying to secure an unfair share of the world's best talent, right? So what you have to do is, one, you have to grow the people you have. You really have to nurture and grow and educate them. And two, you've got to have a pipeline well ahead of your need. And I think what we've been working really hard on is interviewing a lot more and asking all of our executives to do more of that repeatedly than what they had previously. Most of them do it when they need to do it. What we need to know is we need to know who's out there. So we've been hiring people who are journalists, really good, very insightful storytellers, cameramen, people who've been in the CIA, national security. You've got to find different people to meet different needs. So planners, there's only a certain number of planners out there that exist in the world. So we've been going to people like journalists, like I said. Or if you're looking for data, then maybe you've got to go to security firms because they're really intuitive and they're good at that. And they're looking for a different experience. So Wall Street being a good pipeline for us as well, consultants. So you've got to get out of the pond that is just advertising and go much further. So that's the big challenge for us.
So Troy, there's been a lot
Yep.
that's has been said about the death of advertising.
Oh,
Consumers
God, no.
don't like
No
it.
chance.
They got the ad blockers.
No.
They're going to subscription-based TV programming.
Yeah.
It's not the way it used to be.
It's different.
What are the opportunities for advertising to
Yeah.
be successful nowadays?
Well, I think it's easier to write that headline, right? So that's why people repeatedly do it. So I don't buy into it at all because I see the growth that we're going through. And what it's really about is making sure that you've got a proper understanding of consumer behavior and where are the touch points that we can do that and how we need to make sure that we evolve our messaging and not going to our clients and just having sort of one lens on. So I think it's rather odd that a client has to have 3 conversations, if you take it. So they're having a conversation with their PR agency, they're having a conversation with their advertising agency, they're having a conversation with their media agency. That should be one conversation. This is our plan, this is how we roll out. So this year, I actually think the stronger agencies are going to go through a period of reintegration and get many more skills built back in. And they're going to do really, really well because no one's better at connecting the dots than advertising people. We're really good at taking abstract and making it applied. We're really good at taking inputs and driving outcomes. And a lot of the other places are not necessarily good. A lot of them are up here in the clouds, or they start with a technology place and they don't really know how to apply it against a consumer and strategically do that. So for us, I think the opportunity is huge right now for us. And I think there are probably a handful of good, big network collective agencies that I could say that about. And I'd say a lot of them, I think, are really going to struggle. And I think we're going to see some brands disappear in the next 2 years, for sure.
And what do you make of the big success of Amazon and sort of the dominance of the Google and Facebook and their position?
They're fearless, right? Which I just admire tremendously. So who would have thought that a company that was into fulfillment and shipping and everything else really would have been in driving a content revolution that's been going on out there. But they stepped into it. They have a vision. They're stepping into food and what does that mean? And look, I admire that. I admire the way in which they're aggressively going after opportunities. And I think the big issue for most of us out there is that a lot of us are really good at having ideas. Not many of us are as great at closing that gap and turning it into a reality. And these guys, and I'd also say, not just these guys, but I would also say you take a geography like China. People just think because they're the way in which they're structured from a government standpoint that they're able to do things because of that. No, they go to where the leap needs to go. And so I think what we're going to see, it's really interesting that it's not just going to be brands that are going to do it. I think it's also going to be countries. So you go walk the floor out here and you go walk around like Eureka, and which is where most of the modern progressive businesses are coming, where probably 80% of those ideas will never get to market and whatever else. But you go look at how many of the French are there. 300 of them are there, right? There's a major commitment from that country, to enable, future-facing technologies that are going to, improve people's lives. That they're Holland, there are these countries that are just really stepping into it in a major way. And so, yes, we've got Silicon Valley, and yes, we've got Austin and these other places, and I feel strong about what America's place is. But we have to innovate non-stop right now. And I think those who are fearless, those who are confident, and those who have a vision and then can close that down and set themselves short deadlines, they're going to be having a really successful time.
And finally, Troy, you've been doing well. Business is good.
Great for us.
What's the secret sauce? No, but what is it
Good
that
people.
the clients want, and what are they looking for? And I assume it's changing. Of course, it's not one size fits all, but what are their aspirations?
So better inputs. That's what they really want. So for us, where we've focused a lot on, we've been in disruption for 25 years. That's been our philosophy. But I think where we fell into just the trap was always in the output, the execution. So, becoming a great creative company. Today, I think I've won probably 70% of my pitches before we actually had the pitch. So the ways in which we are working, the ways in which we're innovating, the ways in which we're approaching things, clients are looking for that level of collaboration. And it's not just about money. It's not about efficiency. I go up against some of our competitors out there that are willing to give away zero overhead in their fee structures, and we still beat them. So clients aren't as silly as what people think. They just don't sell out. They're looking for a better solution because ultimately they're the one who are on point. They're the one who are constantly being asked by either their procurement department or by the CEO, how do I know this is going to get a result? What's the investment I need to make? And so they're looking for this real partnership. They're looking for better ways in and more unique ways in. And then they're looking to see someone who can actually not just talk it, but actually walk it. And we've been doing that. We've presented to the top 40 global pitch consultants for the last 3 years. We finished first 3 years in a row, right? So we're seen as an agency of the future. One of them just said to us, you're one of the few historical brands that isn't disastrous. So, we know where our place is. It's a pity that some of the others are there. But I think it's because we're innovative, we close the gap, we make it happen, and we're really good partners with good people. I think the other part right now is I think we don't overpromise. There's a lot of conversation around data right now, a ton. And I've heard it all 3 days that I've been here. And the amount of companies that have been sort of saying, we can do this and we can do, I've sat through their pitches. And if I'm a client, it's a little bit frightening because everyone says that they've got the answer. Everyone says that they can help you. And in their shoes, I think it must be terrifying. So you want to be able to make sure that you can focus on the things that you do really well, do them, and then don't promise that you can do a whole bunch of other things, and then find the partners that marry up to that. And I think then the clients are going to stay. I think it's going to be a lot more stickier, the relationships that we're going to have.